Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Lincoln Riley, the USC Trojans, putting the finishing touches on their transfer portal cycle here in the winter portal window. Now seems to be a good time, and USC might not be done, but now seems to be a good time to look back and say, hey, who are the five most impactful transfer portal additions that USC made going into 2025? And what I mean by that is this is not necessarily the top five players that USC brought in. But what players are going to have the biggest impact on this USC team? What players satisfied some of the biggest needs for this USC team going into 2025? And my overall take in terms of USC and what they did over the last couple of weeks in the transfer portal is look, it wasn't super flashy. They didn't participate in a lot of those bidding wars for some of the biggest names that you saw in the transfer portal. But what they did do a very effective job was a lot of these guys that USC is bringing in, to my calculations, I think six of them are going to be plug and play starters for USC at their specific positions. And when you can get bona fide plug and play starters at positions that you needed to fill, that is a successful transfer portal window. And I think that's what USC did. Now, when you see these national media, I'll say talking heads, I don't mean that disrespectfully. When you see the national media talk about the programs that improved the most in the transfer portal, I don't think USC will be talked about in that top five. But I think if you're a USC fan and say, hey, the players that we brought in, really quality football players at positions of need, sometimes that's better than going out and pushing all your chips in for one of these big name players in the transfer portal. Now, I want to get into my top five before we do, and as always, one to the USC fans. All y'all been rocking with the fellas in a big way the last couple of weeks. It's been fun breaking down the commitments. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, let it fly in the comment section. Top five most impactful transfer portal additions. We'll chop it up down there. I'm going to go off the beaten trail. I don't think this is probably on a lot of USC fans' bingo card. DJ Wingfield, to me, comes in at number one for a couple of different reasons. One, I think he's a plug and play starter for USC in the 2025 year. Now, why do I think DJ Wingfield is number one? And it starts with the position versatility that he brings, right? You wanted to fill one of the guard spots with Emmanuel Pregnine going to Oregon. You potentially do that with DJ Wingfield. I went back and watched a little of him at New Mexico as a right tackle. There's something there. And so what I look about DJ Wingfield is when you are an offensive line and you're trying to get your best five starting offensive linemen out on the football field, having a guy like DJ Wingfield who can play guard and right tackle, that's massive. Because you look at USC, yeah, we wanted to fulfill one of those guard spots, but we're also, I don't know if you're concerned, but you don't necessarily have a proven commodity at right tackle. Now, Justin or Tobias Raymond certainly could emerge as those kind of guys, but if they don't, I think you got a guy in DJ Wingfield who can go out and play right tackle for you as well. And so you're getting a plug and play starter, a guy that we all feel confident will start on the offensive line, ideally at guard, because that tells you Tobias Raymond is a guy that can go and play right tackle. But if not, you got DJ Wingfield who probably can come in and play right tackle. From a roster building standpoint, DJ Wingfield made a ton of sense for USC. Now, number two, it has to be Keyshawn Silver. This is probably the number one answer for a lot of USC fans, and I wouldn't argue. I mean, you look at Keyshawn Silver, a couple of fun storylines for Keyshawn Silver, most notably, former five-star coming out of high school, a guy that is a dang good football player from his time at Kentucky. Can he reach that next level is probably the question mark. So not only are you getting a really good football player that's a plug and play guy, that is a body type that USC just didn't have last year. We've talked about this a lot. I mean, you look at USC, their defensive line 2024, just for lack of better terms, it was small. And when you're playing in the Big Ten, it's important to have big bodies along the lines of scrimmage. Keyshawn Silver, 6'4", 335 pounds, 7'1" wingspan, 35-inch vertical jump coming out of high school. This kid's dripping with traits, and it is an immediate impact plug and play starter for USC. What I think should excite the USC fans is, what does it look like if he can take that next jump? Because if he does, you're getting a really, really good football player on the inside of the defensive line. Number three, it has to be Janory Reed. Janory Reed might be my favorite transfer portal addition from a pure player standpoint that USC added. This kid is nails at the center position, and replacing a guy like Jonah was never going to be easy for USC. And you got a lot of moving parts on this USC offensive line. Going out and getting a guy that has two straight starting seasons and the ACC under his belt. He's going into his third year of starting at center. A guy that on 863 pass per opportunities, he only gave up 4 sacks and 16 quarterback hurries over the last 2 years at the Power 4 level. And most importantly, a really smart center, a guy that I think can be the glue to an offensive line that will have some new faces. This one made a ton of sense for USC, and he's a really good football player. I'd probably put Janory Reed over DJ Wingfield from a pure football player standpoint. The reason I give DJ Wingfield the nod is that versatility to me is really appealing for USC in the situation they're in going into 2025. Number four, another plug and play guy. We just talked about him last night, Bishop Fitzgerald. This is not only a plug and play starter with Kamari Ramsey in the back end. I look at this as a massive upgrade from what USC had last year at safety. Whether it was Achille Arnold, whether it was a guy like Zion Branch, whether it was a guy like Bryson Shaw, you just never got great safety play outside of Kamari Ramsey. Weren't good in coverage, missed a lot of tackles in space. Bishop Fitzgerald, 59% completion percentage when targeted in coverage, only misses 11% of his tackles, can be that premier single high safety that can take away the football, allowing you to get a little bit more creative in terms of how you want to use Kamari Ramsey. This one, I think, was a massive get for USC in the portal. Yeah, plug and play guy that I think is an upgrade from what USC had last year. Last one I'll talk about is DJ Harvey. This is a sneaky kind of big question for USC going into the 2025 year. I mean, you're losing a lot of production at the cornerback spot. DJ Harvey's one of those guys that you feel really good about just plugging and playing. And again, DJ Harvey's not the flashiest cornerback that was available in the transfer portal, but I mean, played 817 snaps at San Jose State last year, 58% completion percentage when targeted, only missed 12% of his tackles. This is a cornerback that you have a lot of confidence in just playing out on the boundary. It's hard to find those kind of guys. And I do think he gets some versatility with DJ Harvey. Might be able to play a little nickel as well. You look at USC, their overall haul in the portal, and just say, again, the DJ Harvey, you ain't going to talk about DJ Harvey in the national media. You're probably not going to talk about Bishop Fitzgerald or Janory Reed. Really, the only, big name player was Keyshawn Silver. But you kind of go down the list and say a lot of these guys are going to be immediate contributors for USC going into 2025. Probably could have put in Jamal Jarrett, another one of those bodies that we're looking for on the defensive line. It's hard not to be excited about what USC's done. And I wouldn't be surprised that after spring practice, he kind of, all right, what do we have on this roster? What does the development look like of some of our younger cats? All right, maybe we go back and address a few more positions in the portal. But I think they did a really good job addressing the positions they needed to with bona fide high floor starters. And to me, that's the best thing you can do in the portal. Yeah, you can get some real difference makers if you're willing to pay a pretty penny. What the hard part to do is, all right, can you go get a bunch of plug and play guys at the positions you need? That's what USC did. That's what stands out to me the most about what USC did in the portal. We'll sign out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it again. All the support means the world. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.